Let's start a little bit of baseball. 41,000 strikeouts this year, breaking the major league record, and it's broken every year since 2005. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up. Every year it's been broken. Home runs at a record pace. We've talked about this before, but I worry about where this is headed.
Well, it's headed towards what it's become. Strikeouts and home runs are all that anyone looks at now. Strikeouts don't matter. It used to be if you struck out, you couldn't play. Now, if you strike out, big deal. Just go hit a home run next time. The game is what it is, and it will not change back. I think in this day and age, the scary thing that you're alluding to is viewership. You know the average demographic for baseball is? Us. That's not good.
Not him?
Not him.
I'm not hanging out.
Not him at all. And that's a problem. They're not going to get younger. Baseball's a boring watch now. If you love home runs, great. You get to see a lot of them. But you have to endure strikeouts.
Okay, to
like
the other
never
side,
before.
the home run derby is at its peak. I don't know if there's ever been more popular.
Do you watch it?
No.
I hate it.
I know, but the old guys hate it.
Do you like
And
it?
the
I love
home
it.
run
I watched
derby is
every
There you
second
go.
of it. That whole Vlad Guerrero thing that was happening, the battle back and forth was amazing this year. I love it. But I do think this might be an overreaction, what you guys are talking about. I understand that the numbers over a significant amount of time have changed, but all it takes is one team, one general manager, one manager to think differently. A team to come in and decide, okay, we're going to play ball the way we used to play. And if that team has some sort of success, things start gradually going back in the other direction. You can look at it in every other sport. Like, for example, right? There was a time in the late 70s, early 80s with the San Diego Chargers and the Miami Dolphins where they started airing it out and everyone decided, okay, we're going to try that same thing too. Then all of a sudden, when teams had success, again, grounding and pounding the ball, early 90s to late 90s, you were winning with running backs, right? I do think it's an ebb and flow. It's just taking longer for baseball at this point.
To his point, the Red Sox dusted off the Yankees in last year's playoffs by playing a more controlled game of baseball, traditional game of baseball, than the Yankees to swing for the fences and found themselves eliminated, which could happen again.
Well, in the playoffs, it comes down to pitching and defense, and that's why that works. And you have to be able to manufacture runs in order to win because you're facing Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Zach Greinke. Those guys can dominate, and they'll give up home runs, but they won't give up 3-run homers time after time. It's a different game in the playoffs, and it's a better brand of baseball in the playoffs. Unfortunately, the regular season, it's just all about, it's like watching a softball game at Cops Hill.
Yeah.
But you also have to factor in how many teams are losing on purpose right now in Major League Baseball, right? Like, you're going to have a record amount of teams that have lost 100 games this season. If that starts to die down too, I mean, I feel like the strikeout factor goes a whole heck of a lot higher up because you've got guys that will be playing double and AAA ball that are starting on these teams on a nightly basis. When talent starts to even itself out again, you might see those numbers even themselves out.
Yeah, and Garver, the catcher
Mitch
for the
Garver.
Mitch, okay. He verbalized it. He says, a lot of times I think Major League Baseball rationalizes these numbers. He came out for the Twins and owned it. He says, yeah, we're swinging for the fences and that's all that we do because it's more difficult these days to string together 3 or 4 hits because the pitchers are so good. So he's blaming it on the pitchers.
Yeah, but if you're a pitcher, the ball's juice. We know that, right? We all agree that the ball has been juiced this year, and that's why home runs are at a historic rate. Well, if you're a pitcher, you've got to hate this. And if you're the union, what do? Half of your membership hates it. Half of your membership loves it. Who gets more money? If I'm an executive, I'm doing what you're doing, what you talked about too. I'm going back to finding guys who can play the game the right way. You know who does that? It's Tampa Bay. They're that team. Whether or not they can win that way remains to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're going to see a potential change in baseball, and I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks. If the Yankees can play well in the playoffs with their pitching situation, things will start going more towards swinging towards the fences, and it doesn't matter anywhere else. But if they fall on their face with all the talent that they have, with all the expectations because they didn't go get their arms, things are going to start moving the other way.
Well, falling on their face means facing a generational team. This Houston Astros team, I can't remember a team that looks as loaded on paper as those guys.
And they added another piece, and he'll win the American League Rookie of the Year. It's like every year they bring another piece up and they get better and better. I don't see them losing, but I know a lot of people around here think that the Yankees are going to win the whole thing.
Man, blinders.
Yeah.
Blinders.